Welcome again to our students at Baverstock in the city. This video is the first in the How To series, and this one is about how to improve your grade in the maths exam. Before we look at this video, I would like to remind you that you can pause or rewind the video whenever you want to. We're going to have a look at 16 top tips for success in the maths exam. Our first tip is read the instructions carefully. It is important to read the instructions carefully because they could contain some information that is valuable to you. One instruction could be answer all the questions. In an ideal world, we would be able to answer all the questions, and you never know, we might be able to on our exam paper in the summer. But what it really means is answer as many questions as we can. Another instruction could be write your answers in the space provided on the exam paper. This means that we are not allowed to write in the margins or on the blank pages. And that is an important instruction. If you write in the margins or the blank pages, there is a very high chance that that work won't be marked. Our next top tip is scan the paper. I would strongly advise you to go through the whole paper before you start to answer any questions and to get an idea of what the questions are asking you. So look at the whole paper before you start to write. Our third top tip is read the questions carefully. Reading time is built into the exam. We're not expected to be writing for the whole exam time. The examiner expects us to read the question carefully, and time is allowed for this. We must take our time and read through all the questions carefully. And I suggest here, look, read every question twice before you write. It's very easy to get it wrong. Read it twice and keep calm. Our fourth top tip is to have a look how many marks are available for each question or each question part. The number of marks available is given in brackets, those, at the end of each question or part of a question. This gives us some indication of how many steps will be required to answer the question and therefore how much time we should spend on that question. In section A of the maths test that we sat, this was one of the questions. Nick goes into town on Saturday. He arrives at 12:30 p.m. In town, he wants to meet Assad for lunch, 1 hour. He wants to check the price of a game, half an hour. Look at DVDs, 3/4 of an hour. Go bowling, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Nick wants to leave the bowling alley by 4:30 p.m. This question part asks us, can Nick be ready to leave the bowling alley by 4:30 p.m? Show why you think this, and here's a crucial bit here, look, 4 marks are available for this part of the question. Now, if you only answered yes or no to can Nick be ready to leave the bowling alley by 4:30 p.m, you would get no marks at all. You need to show why you think this in order to get some, or hopefully all, of these 4 marks that are available. We'll have a look now at how we can get these 4 marks. Nick arrives in town at 12:30 p.m. He spends 1 hour at lunch. If we add 1 hour to 12:30, we get 13:30 or 1:30 if you prefer. He goes to the game shop and he spends 30 minutes in there. If we add 30 minutes to 13:30, we will get 1400 hours or 2 o'clock if you prefer. He then goes to the DVD shop and spends 45 minutes there. If we add 45 minutes to 1400 hours, we get 1445 or 2:45 if you prefer. He goes bowling for 1 hour and 15 minutes. If we add 1 hour and 15 minutes onto 1445, we get 1600 hours or 4 o'clock. So can Nick be ready to leave the bowling alley by 4:30? Yes, he can. We know he can. We've just worked it out. He can leave by 4 o'clock. We have shown why we think this. We can answer yes, and we've shown why he can leave the bowling alley by 4:30, or in fact before 4:30. We would get the 4 marks for this answer. Our 5th top tip is answer the easiest questions first. When we begin the exam paper, and this will be after you have had a quick look at all of the questions first, we should work through all of the questions that we know we can answer. So, we should start with the questions that we think we can do best and leave the more difficult ones to the end. We will lose valuable time if we get stuck on a difficult question and do not move on. We should get some easy marks in first and then return to the more challenging questions. We will know that we have already got some good marks in the bank if we've answered the questions that we know we can answer. Our 6th top tip is show all your working out. This is so important. I can't tell you how important this actually is. Remember to show your working out. This is the number 1 cause of losing marks. Marks are available for not only giving the correct answer, but also showing how we got to the answer, our working out. Most questions are worth 2 or more marks, so even if we make a slip and get the final answer wrong, we can often pick up a mark for showing that we knew the right method. And we can only do that if we show all of our working out, as we looked at here. Our 7th top tip, check for errors. We could call this section, does my answer look right? We should check that our answers are sensible. If we end up with unreasonable answers such as 20,000 square metres for the measurement of a bedroom, or the mean height of a group of men is 220 metres, then we are likely to have made a mistake somewhere. Always, always check for errors and look to see if your answer actually looks right. Our 8th top tip, be accurate. You need to check very, very carefully what is the question asking for. If it asks for 2 decimal places, 2 dp, then we must make sure our answer includes them. And I've given you an example here. Write 3.14159265 to 2 decimal places, 2 dp, and the answer is 3.14. If it asks for 2 decimal places, you give 2 decimal places. Similarly, If we are asked to simplify, then we should simplify, but only when we are asked to do it. So, for example, simplify the fraction 8/12 there. Our answer, when simplified, is 2/3. We simplify when we're asked to do so, otherwise we leave our answer as it is. Our 9th top tip, short of space. What if there isn't enough space for all the working out? Well, most of the time the examiners get it right. They provide us with enough space for us to write all our working out. But sometimes sufficient space is not always provided. We must not be tempted to squash our work in. We must not be tempted to squash our work in. Why? Because we might leave out some important steps, and these steps are often the method steps that the examiner needs to see in order for us to get the method marks. If there is not enough space, then we must put our hand up and ask for more paper. Never, ever be tempted to squash the work in. Our 10th top tip, the calculator paper. The calculator paper is not the easier paper. It's even more important to show all our working out on this paper, as it's very easy to do 2 or 3 calculations on the calculator without showing any working out. We would then lose most of our method marks, and if we've made a mistake, we won't get any marks at all if we haven't included our working out. We should take our own calculator to the exam if we can, because we know it, we understand what it does and where everything is, and it makes it much easier if we are familiar with it. We should, of course, make sure it's in degrees mode, because if it's not, you're going to have problems with your calculations. We should try a simple sum to make sure that it's working properly. Our 11th top tip, do not rush. This one's pretty straightforward, do not rush. Misread questions and careless mistakes are often the result of rushing. This will cost us valuable marks. Our 12th top tip, use every available minute. When there are about 15 minutes remaining in the exam, we should check to see if we're running out of time. If we think that we may run out of time, then we must try to score as many marks as possible by concentrating on the easier parts, the first parts of any questions we have not yet tried. If we finish the paper before the time is up, we must not sit back and relax. We may have made some mistakes, and there may still be some marks to pick up. We should spend every last minute looking for errors. Our 13th top tip, water. If water bottles are allowed in the exam hall, we must ask our teacher about that. We should take one with us. Water will refresh us and help us to concentrate. Our 14th top tip, equipment. We should bring our own equipment with us. We should have pens and sharpened pencils ready. We shouldn't use pens that leak or ones with broad tips. We shouldn't use untried new pens as they may let us down. We should use a pen that we know is reliable and bring at least 2 spare pens with us. We will also need to bring a rubber, a ruler, a protractor and a compass. If you have a geometry set like one of these, that will have most of the equipment in it that you need. But you will need to bring a calculator for the calculator paper. The 15th top tip is the obvious. Do not arrive late. You might not be allowed to sit the exam. Keep your eye on the clock. Make sure that you leave home in plenty of time to get to the exam hall. Get plenty of sleep the night before the exam, no less than 8 hours. We all perform much better after a good night's sleep. Eating a healthy and filling breakfast in the morning will help because we can work better when we feel comfortably full. And if you look at this picture here, breakfast boosts brain power. It really does. If you've had something to eat in the morning, your brain will work better for you when you're doing your exam. And finally, there only remains for me to say good luck. But exams have little to do with luck. If we have done the work and revised thoroughly, we will do well. So, don't look at exams as impossible hurdles to jump. Look at them as opportunities for us to shine and show everyone just what we can do. Work hard and get the best grade that you possibly can do.